Am I the asshole for humiliating a man and his entire family when he proposed to me? On my phone, sorry about any formatting issues. I, 28 female, come from a very traditional Indian family. I left them when I came to USA for uni because I knew that if I accepted their help in paying my fees they would hold it against me later, and I got a part-time job along with the financial aid I was receiving. I maintained low contact and didn't visit them in person until I was 26, when they contacted me on my younger brother passing uni. For the last 2 years, I have visited them 4 times, and each time they've been talking about marriage, although I stated very clearly that I wasn't interested. They brought up kids and how finding guys willing to marry older women was hard. I said no problem because I'm child-free and that I don't want them to find a guy for me. January this year, I went to visit them and they said that they had something special for me and that I would absolutely love it. The day after I reached their home, they said they were throwing me a welcome home party. I thought they were trying to fix our relationship and let it be. They invited a lot of people and it had obviously already been planned. An hour in, my parents introduced me to a man in his 30s F and his parents. So, next thing I know, F goes down on one knee and whips out a beautiful ring. I'm surprised and angry at my parents for still trying to control my life and putting me in such a situation. I said no, but then our parents began to push my buttons and I exploded. I called F, his parents and my parents' lowlifes for trying to trick me and basically insulted their views, calling them misogynistic and disgusting. Told them to go F themselves and left. I packed my bags and went to stay at a hotel until it was time for my flight. My mom cried and begged me to stay and said that they had already paid for half of the dowry and ring. I stopped responding to my parents' calls and texts because I was done with them. My cousins and some old friends have been telling me that I was being unfair by being so rude to F and his parents. Thing is, they were in on it. They expected me to say yes and sent me a lot of insults when I refused to reconsider. They were humiliated, and in their tiny group of small-minded people, my parents were being ostracized for raising a whore of a daughter. F and his parents were also humiliated because they were rejected by a whore. Am I the asshole for being so rude? I feel like I should have handled the situation more delicately, rather than blowing up at all of them. Edit. Wow. I did not expect so many not the assholes or responses. When I said that they were in on it, I meant that my parents had told them that I hadn't met the right guy and that I would come around, which is why they kept trying. My parents expected me to surrender all my savings and money to F, live with F and his family in India, procreate with F 3 times and do all the housework when I can't even make a poached egg. About letting me go to college, I told them 2 weeks before leaving for it and lived at my friend's house with all my important documents, because I knew that they would do pretty much anything to keep me from going. They called my uni and said that I wouldn't be joining. Uni contacted me and I cleared it up. That's why I didn't talk to them and declined to let them pay. For those of you who told me to wear a faux ring, I'm engaged to my girlfriend of 5 years and my parents aren't getting an invite to the wedding. I knew that they'd ask me about it if they saw it and disapprove of anyone that wasn't Indian, let alone a female. Thank you for your responses, and I am never talking to my parents again.
Not the asshole. But don't go back. In case they trap you.
Get on that plane and don't go back. You have seen what they will do if you do. And I mean if you keep contact, get a wedding ring to wear. That they will see. It doesn't have to be real or have a man attached to it, but if they see you are taken, they may not try another stunt like this. You are not the asshole. They embarrassed themselves by underestimating your independence, strength and stubbornness. Good for you.
Not the asshole. This was a trap that they knew they were setting and you didn't fall for it. It doesn't sound like you owe these people anything, and if they think they can use money to goat you into marriage, the least they can do is write a check so you can burn it.
How dare you? Not the asshole. You're kidding, right? You know there's no way you're the asshole here. You probably also know you really couldn't have done anything any better than you did. Here's what you don't know. Your story needs to be told. You made a whole bunch of really good decisions that a lot of girls in India, and other countries, don't think they can make. They fall for all the traps that are set by the family pressure and the forced dependence. I don't know, a YouTube video or something. Your story needs to get out there. It's the 21st century. People are entitled to live their own lives.
Not the asshole. What they did to you was manipulative and so controlling. It's great that you are completely independent from them, and I wouldn't blame you for going complete no contact. That culture is likely very ingrained in your family's minds and lives, so much so that they won't be likely to change their views anytime soon. I don't think what you did was really rude considering the situation and pressure they put on you, all without your consent.
F and his parents were also humiliated because they were rejected by a whore. Lol. So if you are a whore, what does he care what you think? Why would he want to marry a whore? I don't understand this logic. Anyway, as someone who was involved with an Indian woman and her very controlling family, I bowed out of that entire mess and did not marry her. I refused to be a third wheel to my own marriage and have to defer to people halfway around the globe who I never met. Not even my culture. Good luck to you. Continue doing what makes you happy. Don't look back. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. You told them several times how you felt about the situation and that you wanted a relationship on your terms, if it ever happened. They didn't listen and popped a surprise proposal on you without warning or regard to your wishes. After you said no, they kept pushing you. You owe them nothing at this point, as you explained your position clearly multiple times. They are the Oz for not listening to your desires where all of this is concerned. I wish you the best moving forward and suggest going low no contact again for a while. If only for your sanity. Not the asshole. Why did they think that this was going to work?
LMAO, not the asshole. Hate Indian traditions and mentalities like these. Would absolutely flip if my parents ever did this, but thankfully they won't.
Not the asshole. I struggle to understand how your parents thought you'd love this surprise.
Not the asshole. And never ever be alone with anybody in your family again. Not the asshole. Unfortunately, it seems you have outgrown your family. You are just on different planets when it comes to what is acceptable. I wouldn't visit again for a long time. Being an Indian, I feel for you. Indian parents feel entitled to having a dominating presence in their children's lives, not the asshole.
Happened to my sister. They kept pestering her and tricking her into going to these family gatherings to look for a suitable husband. Definitely not the R. Arranged marriages should be consensual in both parties.
Not the asshole. Hey up, I'm half Indian. What your parents and extended family did was 100% fucked up. They're using guilt and slut-shaming as a way to manipulate you, which is so typical whenever a woman refuses to be forced into doing what they want. I was called a slut at 14 even though I was a reclusive virgin who never left the house except to go to school, and I'm low contact to no contact with my Indian half of the family. These insults have nothing to do with reality and everything to do with controlling you.
Not the asshole, but I feel bad for F, too. He probably got fed a line of bullshit and had no idea you were so against the idea.
Not the asshole. Sorry you were put in that situation. That sounds awful.
Is this fake? I feel like it's fake.
Not the asshole. You made it clear you were not interested in this before being put in this situation by your parents.
You're not the asshole for not wanting to follow tradition. You went to the USA to get away from that. It's okay to not follow the path that your parents want laid out for you. It seems like you've been understanding of them every time you visit they ask. I think they went a little crazy. They're assuming you'd marry this man you just met when all these other times you shot them down. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Indian here, we need more women like you. This forced marriage bullshit needs to stop.
Not the asshole. This battle has been fought for decades. Tradition and/or peer pressure versus independence. At this point in their lives they should have known that you wouldn't have approved of such a maneuver by them, and yet they and F's parents insisted anyway. To the point of you reacting the way you did. The only way you'd be any kind of a butthole here is the way you handled it in the moment, but in that situation they did push you to react harshly considering they refused to listen to you. I fear it's going to take another couple generations to pass for certain things like this to die out. Not the asshole. If he wasn't in on it, it'd be different, but he knew you would not be for it and they all tried to pressure you to accept by making it a public spectacle. Good riddance.
Not the asshole. Please don't go back to them, and guard your passport's visa as if your life depended on it. Not the asshole. Don't go back there again. They are likely to take your passport.
Not the asshole. Sister, I feel your pain. I understand. Fellow Indian here went through the same shit when I was 21. Had a screaming fight with parents and threatened to call police. Indian parents think it is their birthright to control their daughters' lives. Don't come back. Just please don't come back. This country and society has nothing good to offer to its women.
Absolutely not the asshole, and I'm glad you stood up for yourself. That entire setup was as manipulative as it gets. You don't owe your life or your choices to anyone.
Fake. This is the first scene of the book, The Trouble with Hating You, by Sajni Patel.
Oh girl, not the asshole. You told your parents multiple times you didn't want that. They had zero reason to think that would go over well, and if the other family was in on it then they're just as bad. Wow. No way, you were sabotaged. Be strong and good for you. Not the asshole.
Huh. Kinda weird that this Indian man gave you a very Western proposal, one knee, engagement ring. This story just doesn't add up for me.
Not the asshole, but F may not have known you weren't interested. Your parents and his, if they knew, should all be ashamed of themselves. If the other family didn't know, that makes your parents even more of tush for thinking a party would just pressure you into accepting when you didn't want to.
Not the asshole. Like others have said, get on that plane and don't return. Your family was way out of line, but you didn't have to call F and his family low lifes. It's possible they had no idea this would be a problem. Your parents might have told them you were desperate to marry a man and would be happy if he proposed.
You're right, you shouldn't have blown up at them, but they are way more in the wrong for the shit they pulled. You stood up for yourself, I'm glad you put your fucking foot down. What they did was unacceptable.
Not the asshole. You go girl. I'm an American-born Indian and it makes me happy to see people stand up to bullshit traditions, expectations.
Not the asshole. Yeah, maybe you could have handled it more delicately, but it's completely understandable why you blew up. I can't believe they thought you would say yes when you have told them repeatedly that you have no interest in marriage or children, and I don't blame you at all for your reaction. I probably would have had a panic attack. NTA, but a poached egg is very easy. Fill a saucepan halfway with water, put a cap full of white vinegar in it, bring it up to a simmer, and then swirl the water in right before you drop the eggs in. Let them be for 2 to 3 minutes depending on desired doneness, and remove with a slotted spoon, so that you leave the water in the pan. Then you have a poached egg.
Not the asshole. You may not have handled as gracefully as you feel you should have, but you handled it like a human being.
Not the asshole, and the whole, manipulative lot of them _are_. They're responsible for their own humiliation. They don't respect you as an individual, you're something for them to possess and control. I mean, how dare you have a mind of your own and not be the perfectly subservient wife and daughter. Also, I would look up clinical psychologist and professor Dr. Ramani Durvasula, particularly her series on cultural narcissism. I have a feeling you might relate.
Not the asshole op. I'm Indian and I know this situation all too well. Happened to a best friend who moved to SF to study and then to LA to work. Luckily she came down only for a week, so moved to another friend's when they tried pulling this stunt, and she's back in the US now, safe and sound.
You're definitely not the asshole, but power to you sis. That's amazing how you stood your ground and didn't let them walk over you.
Not the asshole. I'm Pakistani and you didn't do a single thing wrong. Desi culture has a hard time respecting people's independence, and elders in the family think they have the right to make decisions for everyone. Fuck 'em. Live your life the way you want to, sister.
I am an Indian, but proposing to a girl with ring from the girl's parents' money is pretty low even from Indian standard. Definitely not the asshole. I would suggest to go no contact with your parents. You don't deserve all those dramas.
Parents were being ostracized for raising a whore of a daughter. For not wanting to fuck a perfect stranger. I don't think that word means what they think it does.
Not the asshole. How could you have handled this more delicately? By accepting, perhaps. They would have been offended even if you've said no politely. Be careful if you ever decide to visit again.
Not the asshole. F. His family and your family can go screw themselves. Everything you called them was true. They are misogynistic low lives.
Not the asshole. Good job standing up for yourself.
Not the asshole. They knew your wishes and went against them. I am also Indian and it's very common to view children as extension of yourself and not as individuals with their own separate lives. They clearly don't respect your choices and tried to pressure you by making this a public proposal. They brought the humiliation on themselves because their emotional blackmail failed.
Not the asshole. They knew very well how you feel and they did this anyway. Tradition is just peer pressure from dead people. Do whatever is best for you and damn anyone who tries to hold you back.